Would you please welcome my friend Lincoln?
Thank you.
Stage is yours.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was at the right place at the right time and anything. I kept looking at my watch and I kept peeking through the door. My name's Lincoln Jackson, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. I've been sober now for 24 years, thanks to God.
Amen.
My journey is about like everybody else's journey. For 44 years, I did it my way. And for 44 years, it was all backwards. I didn't rely on God that much. I knew that my mother raised me to understand that. She told me, she says, baby, when it gets too bad, I want you to call upon him. And I had to become that little kid again and ask God for help. You know, I'm 44 years old, I'm sitting on Highway 6 and I'm lost. I'm suffering. And all of a sudden, that thought, that one brain cell that was left said, my mother says, call on him. And the only thing I could remember that night was, now lay me down to sleep, and I prayed to the Lord my soul to keep. And a curtain came open and a light hit me in the face. But it was a guy going to the restroom in jail. You know, they have the curtains up there and the light hit me in the face. But that wasn't the only good part about it, was that different gentlemen started coming up to me, younger gentlemen, and started asking, said, Lincoln, would you pray with us? And I said, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And I just had to stop and remember that I asked God for the first time in my life to come into my life, to help me. Not to be the person I was, but to be the person he wanted me to be. And it all started, well, for 44 years, like I said, I did it my way. Alcohol and drugs was a big issue with me because I wanted to fit in. And the only way I could fit in was by doing those things with the people I was hanging out with. And by me hanging out with those people, my life was just chaotic. It was all about me. It was all about me. And by coming to my senses and realized that, I asked him one time, I said, Father, I need your help. And this was way before I did that. I need your help. I don't want to live like this any longer. I want to be able to go out and help the little people and teach them the things that you had taught me over the years on how to work on bicycles, lawnmowers, and all this other stuff. And what's so amazing about it is that he put me with a group of people. There was a bunch of teenagers, and they needed help, you know. But this was after I turned my will of my life over to him. But that was March the 1st, 2000. And my life it's been totally different ever since. Because, you know, in 1990, I had what they call the Monterey-Wise tear. I coughed and sneezed and blew my insides out. So they had to put a balloon inside of me and tie it off and pull everything up to stop the bleeding. And after that, I got the Hep C virus because they wasn't checking for that on the blood deal back then. So I got a good dose of it. And they told me after 5 years, they said, I had to go in and get my gallbladder removed. They said, well, Lincoln, you got Hep C virus. I said, what? He said, yes, you have Hep C virus. And he said, in the next 5 years, your liver's going to go boom.
What was that called?
Monterey-Wise tear in 1990.
Okay.
Yeah. And they gave me a good dose of blood. It saved my life, but I got the Hep C virus. And by me having the Hep C virus, it was destroying my liver at all times. It wasn't the alcohol as much, but the virus was so strong. And the medicine they gave me for the virus had a lot of my friends committing suicide. They said they didn't want to take it anymore because it was so stressful on the body. But I made it through it. In 2003, I ended up in a nervous hospital. And my wife says, I don't want to have anything else to do with you. I'm tired of you. I can't take it no more. And I was in the program trying to get my life on track and try to get it back together. But she seen fit to find somebody else that was going to be better for her. And so I got thrown out in the streets. But what was so nice about it is I'm in the program of AA. And a gentleman came over to the hospital and he says, Lincoln, he said, what seems to be your problem? And I'm sitting there, I'm crying, I'm trying to figure out, oh God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have no place to go. I can't go live with my dad. I can't do this. I can't do that. And this gentleman walked up and he said, something told me to come by here and see you, Lincoln. He said, tell me what's going on. I said, my wife put me out, she changed the locks on the doors and everything. He says, don't worry about it, I got a place for you. And he came back and he gave me a key. He said, this apartment is a garage apartment. It's behind my dad's house. He said, I want you to come and check it out. You can stay there as long as you want to. And so this other couple came over and asked me for the key. I said, man, I got repoed already. But what they did, they went and cleaned the apartment up. They stocked groceries and they did this and they did that. And they got it all set up for Lincoln. And when I got there, I walked up the steps and I opened the door and tears just started flowing because God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. And what's so nice about it is that, you know, I stayed there for a few years, and that was in 2003. In 2004, they finally finalized that my liver was being so damaged. I had stage 4 cirrhosis. And they said, we're going to have to find a transplant. We're going to have to send you to Fort Worth. And I said, oh man, what am I going to do now? I don't have the money to be going up there. And I got to spend a whole week up there in a motel. And how am I going to pay for all this? So I went to my group and I asked one of my friends in the group, I said, you know, I'm always doing service work and I'm trying to do the best I can. I said, you think they'll help me? And they got together and they helped me. They gave me an envelope and I went to Fort Worth and I spent a whole week up there in Fort Worth. And that envelope had enough money to take care of everything, my meals, my everything, by the grace of God. And I came back. And I had to go back to Fort Worth again. But when I went back the second time, my little car, it wouldn't go over 50 miles an hour, you know, because if it went over 50 miles an hour, it just stopped running. So I'm buzzing down the highway and everybody's beep, 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 bump, bump, bump. And they saying I'm number one, I'm waving back, thank you, thank you. You know, but me and my little car, we made it up there and they gave me, you know, they said, okay, and I made it back, and I had to go back up that way again, and my dad said, you take my car this time. And I took his car. And they gave me a dose of chemo that would knock a mule to his knees. I'd never been that sick before in my life. It was a whole week before I finally shook it off. But to say that, you know, they put me on the list in 2004. And May the 26th, 2005, I get a phone call. They said, we have a liver for you, Lincoln. May the 27th, I got that liver transplant.
Wow,
Praise God.
And that was a God thing.
Yeah, that's
What's so nice about it is that my dad said, how long are you going to be up there? I said, Dad, I don't know. I'm having a liver transplant. And then in the process, they gave me a new liver. And I wasn't even up there 2 months, and that liver, the hep C virus destroyed that liver. So they had to give me another liver. I had died 3 times up there. And by the grace of God, they was able to save me again and again. They had to stop my heart one time because I was so anxious and so depressed and so twisted. They kept me on medication and everything, but my heart was racing so fast, they had to stop it again. I got a pacemaker, you know. And that was in 2001 when I got my pacemaker, but praise God again. But they had to stop my heart and restart it, you know. I spent 7.5 months in a hospital. They wouldn't let me come to Waco, I had to stay there. And I got to meet a lot of good people. Different ones was in for transplants, this one had lung surgeries, and this one had, you know, this and that and everything. And we had a group like this, and we fellowshiped together. And some of them say, man, I just can't sleep at night. I said, well, I take my pillows and I put them on one side and I kind of roll up on them. And they say, I'm able to sleep that way. So I'm going to try it. And they tried that. And other ones, you know, we was just sharing things that we had to go through. But what's so crazy about it is that after 7.5 months of being up there, it didn't really hit me until I was getting ready to come home, and I asked the doctors. He said, well, Lincoln, you get to go home now. And he said, but you still have stage 4 cirrhosis. I said, what does that mean? He says, I can't promise you anything. And he said, yeah, that's right. Talk to God about it. That was 20 years ago, you know. But the main thing of it is I don't want to learn how, or even try to think about giving up, because I have so much to offer. I have so much I want to give to everybody. And by the grace of God, that I was able to be there when my dad passed. I was able to be there when my oldest sister passed, you know, and my other sister. I come from a family of alcoholics, you know, and I watched my sisters all die from the disease, not only of cancer, but alcoholism, you know. And they asked me, said, well, do me a favor, take me out, because I don't want to live like this anymore. I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. But I was able to be there for them through the whole process. And over the years of being the person I am today, it's brought me to be closer to God. I have my family, well, my daughter, and I'm a great grandpa now, you know, and I got 6 great grandbabies, you know, and they've ages from 10 up to 17, and I love them. But you know what the most important thing of it is? I get to wake up in the morning and I get to thank God on a daily basis. I get to open my front door and get that kiss on my forehead. You know, it's amazing. I was sitting there today thinking about coming over here, and I seen all these hawks and stuff flying around, you know. I counted 8 of them, you know, just flying around.
8?
Yeah, just flying around. And I said, wow, you know, I remember the times I would close my blinds, put sheets over that, and not want to see anybody, unplug my phone because I didn't want to be bothered, because I wanted another drink, you know. They said, man, wasn't there a roach in that bottle over there? That's why I poured him out, you know. I would drink it. You know, I was just that sick, you know. I can't remember the last time I had a good meal. I was eating out of a can all the time, you know, because I didn't have time, you know. I was in a rush and a hurry to get that pain away. But the pain is gone now because I have God in my life, you know. And what's so nice about it is, it didn't take much. All I had to do was ask. Become that little kid again and just ask him.
Free prescription.
Yeah.
Come on.
And just asked him, man. I said, you know, it's been so much a blessing. I asked, okay, my picker's been broke for years. I've been married 4 different times. And I said, Father, I can't keep picking these women because my picker is broke. I said, if you see fit for me to have another woman in my life, you put her there. 23 years later, she pops up, you know, and it's a blessing because we're trying to get on the same page and stay on the same page. I never invited God into those other relationships. I never had him there. We talked about it, but I never did anything about it. But this time around, he's there 100%. And I want to keep him there. My brothers and my sisters that are still living, they don't understand. Why do you stay away from us? And why do you do this? And why do you do that? I don't want to go back to that old habits and old ways of doing things. Because if I do that, I'm going back down.
That's right.
You know, I've been down there before. You know, people see me come and say, oh shit, you know. You know, went to the store one day and said, man, here's my watch. Just give me a beer so I get the shakes off of me. He says, go on and take you a couple of beers because I know you'll pay me later. You know, I was trustworthy, but I couldn't trust myself. You know, when you start stealing from your own self, that is bad. You know, the wife come home and said, what happened to my piggy bank? The little corkscrew in the bottom, it just fell out, you know, because I would dump that sucker quick to give me a beer. We had a shelf up there, and she would collect all different kinds of beer cans that didn't have, you know, the right labels and the pop tops and all that kind of stuff. And she said, I'm gonna dust it today and I'm gonna get all that stuff cleaned up. I said, no, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it. She went over there and picked up a can. She said, I had knocked holes in the bottom of all of them and drained it out and drunk it. You know, my father was that way. He said, honey, I'm gonna go out here and check on the roses and everything. And We had beautiful roses in the yard. But every other row, he had a wine bottle hidden. So he would go out and check on the roses, and he'd come back in. He was happy, you know.
Checking on the road.
And she said, one time she says, go in there and check and see what's wrong with that commode. It keeps making a clink, clink, clink sound. I went in there, brought it back out. He had a little half pint off in the commode, you know. But I got to the point I was doing that. I said, I'll never be like my dad. I'll never be like my dad. I got worse than my dad. You know, he finally gave up drinking, but he wasn't happy. He didn't have a program. He would talk about God every now and then. But what was so nice about it, the 7.5 months he spent with me up there in Dallas, he got a chance to see his son talk about God. He got a chance to read the literature that I had to learn on a daily basis. And the most important thing of my life today is that the 12 promises of the program, I get to say that. It's memorized. It's inside of me. And it says, if we're painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity and know peace. No matter how far down the scale I have gone, the feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. The fear of economic insecurity will leave us. We intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. And he said, are these extravagant promises? We think not. They've been fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But you know what the slow part is? He's moving fast.
Amen.
You know,
Yeah.
because he wears the big watch,
Sure.
and it's all in his timing.
That's right.
You know, so I love you guys. Thank you for having me today. And I don't know what more to say, but just keep trusting and believing, because that's all we have. We can do it together. I can't do it by myself. Thank you.
Oh, man. I love you.
Thank you. I hope I did all right.
Oh, you did amazing. Amazing.